I looked at 4 or 5 different blogs before choosing one for this project, and what I immediately learned is that travel blogging does not necessarily mean good or even intelligent writing. I eventually came across this blog, written by Drew Goldberg, and decided that it was the most poorly written one out of the handful that I read. Because of this, I am forced to rant about it to all of you right now. Not only is it terribly written, but it contains sweeping generalizations and statements that simplify the complex notion that is the culture of India. The effect of this combination of poor writing and sweeping statements is that it leads to the appearance that countries are simple and easy to understand. So before I talk about Drew's horrible blog, I would like to reinforce the idea that we have come across many times during this semester, that countries and cultures are very complicated, and that it is hard to define these concepts in monolithic terms, especially if we are ignorant to the culture we are being exposed to. It is impossible to even completely understand our own culture. When people shout, "Make America Great Again," they are screaming something that simplifies American society into one point of view. Obviously, there are many socioeconomic statuses, cultures, and geographic disparities in the United States that make this country a very complex place. To assert that everywhere in America can be great at once, was at one time uniformly great, and that we have somehow lost this essential greatness that makes us who we are is a very primitive way to approach how complicated a society is. Now, Drew is a very experienced traveler. Before going to India, he had been to 52 different countries. He knows how to travel and how to handle himself in a foreign country. He knows the world is complicated, and he clearly has a lot more knowledge about traveling, culture, and the world than someone like myself does. However, the issue I have with his blog is how he presents this knowledge. He makes statements that assert opinions about India as facts, and his writing is really, really bad. This simplifies the culture while also, through the poorly tended writing, giving it the appearance of something that can be easily understood. Also, at the very beginning of his blog, Drew claims to have been in a fatal bus accident during his time in India. So, unless he is posting this from the afterlife, I think I am justified in making fun of him a little bit. The basic goal of travel blogging is very useful and important. Experienced travel writers tell about their adventures, give reviews, and give practical advice to people who plan on traveling. There is truly some merit in the things that travelers, including Drew, have to say, and there are certainly practical things that people need to know before they enter a foreign country. What and what not to eat, places to avoid, places to go, social etiquette, and so on. And Drew does perform this basic task during one lesson in his blog. At this moment, we see him giving sound advice on how to approach food in India, and I confess that I find nothing wrong with what he has to say here. Now, if Drew had written 6 other practical tips like this, then I would probably find nothing wrong with his post at all, besides the fact that he apparently posted it after his death. Also, if Drew had articulated his thoughts well during this blog, and if he presented to us insights beyond basic tips in an intelligent manner, then perhaps I would be taking them a bit more seriously. However, he does not do this, and instead makes claims like this one. Indian people are a good salesman. Don't underestimate them. Indians are some of the best salesmen that I've ever seen, way better than any other Asian country that I saw. They will try to snag you for every last rupee in your pocket, and they are really convincing because, unlike our friend Drew, most of them speak damn good English. Try to bargain as much as you can. Now, we all know that the tourist industry in India can be aggressive, but this does not mean that everyone in India is a good salesman. Furthermore, there are many countries where the tourist industry is the largest source of income, and Drew knows this through his extensive traveling. Many people completely rely on it to make a living, so of course they're going to be aggressive. And these salesmans, as Drew puts it, are not just convincing because they speak English, but also because they have a lot of experience in the tourist industry. Speaking English does not entail being a good salesman. I speak English, and I am horrible at selling things. As someone who is experienced in traveling, Drew should have presented this information to us much differently. Also, Drew clearly has no concept of grammar during this lesson of his. Another absurd moment during Drew's blog is this lesson, where he states that educated Indians are damn smart. I met several highly educated Indian people around my age, people who studied abroad in the USA or somewhere else, and they really know what they are talking about. They have really high IQs and business minds. Honestly, they can run circles around most of my friends who went to universities in the USA. Also, India has the highest percentage of engineers and scientists in the world. Go to any college campus inside the engineering building, and you'll see what I mean. Will we, Drew? And you're right, it is just crazy. I find this statement not only incredibly stupid, but racist and extremely imperialistic. Drew is implying that the damn smart, educated Indians around his age are the ones that have studied abroad, that they have left India, gained knowledge to be found outside the country, and then returned. By stating that the educated Indians are damn smart, one could also assume that Drew is implying the ones who are uneducated are not smart. The worst part is that Drew, as someone who is just trying to get his point of view across to those who read this blog, likely does not realize he is making such ridiculous statements and sweeping generalizations in this post. He is not intentionally trying to do anything wrong here, unless he is an evil spirit, which is apparently a possibility. His heart is in the right place, and he seems to have enjoyed and truly appreciated his experience in India. However, the effect of his horrible writing, combined with the way he is presenting his experiences in India, is that it leads people to believe that different cultures are simple, and that, through horrible blogs such as this one, they can be completely understood by someone like Drew, who appears through his writing as simple. In this post, we can see Drew state that Bombay is the most hectic city in the world, and then that it is the craziest city he has ever seen. These are two completely different things. One is a sweeping statement, and the other is an opinion. Bombay might not be the most hectic city in the world, and even through his extensive travels, there is no way Drew has the scholastic background to make a statement like this. However, Bombay might definitely be the craziest city that Drew has ever seen, and I think that there are real effects in the different ways that this information can be presented. There is a fundamental difference between a tip and a full-blown anthropological analysis that many travel writers attempt as they butcher the English language, like our friend Drew here. I am not saying that travel writers are incapable of making a cultural claim about a different country, but I think that if someone is going to try to do this, they should present it in a way that clearly illustrates it is a subjective opinion they are asserting, and they should also present it in a way that shows respect for the deep thinking it requires to understand another culture. In other words, if someone like Drew wants to try and make big claims, he should remind his readers that his opinion is subjective, and at least give attention to when he should be using salesmen versus salesman. This lesson about haggling, I think, is actually pretty useful. However, his writing is so poor that I find it difficult to appreciate the tip. If we encourage the notion that it does not require a scholar or someone with at least the ability to write, to travel, analyze, and understand a culture to the point where they can make generalizing claims and sweeping statements, such as Indian or good salesman, then we appear to accept the idea that it is easy to understand other cultures, and also that it does not require much intelligence to understand them. And I believe that this type of analysis can truly have a negative impact on the way that we view and interact with the world. It makes us comfortable with taking very complicated constructs, such as a culture, and simplifying them into very basic and generalized ideas. By dismissing the importance of intellect, we also dismiss the dangers of stupidity. As we have seen this past year, when the world seems simple and when it is okay to be stupid, then it is easy to think that our own point of view is the correct point of view, and something like this happens.